Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to be providing a brief introduction to taxes. We'll cover, what taxes are, the purpose of taxes, how they're administered, and also we'll go over the 4 canons of taxation by Adam Smith and see how they pertain to tax policy. Again, this is a very brief introduction, so let's get right into it. Let's start with the definition of taxes. I got this definition off Investopedia.com. This is the definition I like the best. It explains it pretty well. It says taxes are generally an involuntary fee levied on individuals or corporations that is enforced by a government entity, whether local, regional, or national, in order to finance government activities. So let's see what that really means. There are many types of different taxes, and again at various levels of government. So as far as we're concerned in the United States, we have the federal level taxes, we have the state level taxes, and then we have the local municipal level taxes. So let's say if someone lives in New York City, in one of the 5 boroughs, they're going to be subject to federal taxes, they're going to be subject to New York State taxes, and they will also be subject to New York City taxes. And here are a few types of taxes that they may be subject to. Property taxes. So property taxes apply to both real property and personal property, things like real estate, a house, a car, for example. Those would fall under property taxes. Gift taxes are when a taxpayer gives someone a gift. There may be tax consequences associated with that. Excise taxes are based on transactions. These are usually, think of it as a penalty tax almost. So a lot of states now have, a big tax, excise tax on cigarettes to discourage smoking. That is an example of excise tax. Sales tax, we are all familiar with. Every time we go and we buy something, there's a sales tax attached to that. This is generally on the state level, maybe also on a local level. Like, again, going back to our New York City example, we pay a sales tax that includes both a state and a city amount. And income taxes, which I guess most of us are most familiar with. This applies on all levels, federal, state, and local. Now, some states do not have an income tax, so that's great, but for New York City and New York State, we do have, both the city's income tax and a state income tax. There are other types of taxes that are not listed here, but they do exist. I just wanted to provide a brief overview of the different types of taxes. The purpose of taxes, very simply, is to collect revenue sufficient to finance the various governmental entities. So just think about it, the police department, the fire department, the president's salary, the senators, all the different governmental entities, the bridges and the tunnels, all these taxes from different sources go towards maintaining or providing for these entities. It's how our country is run. Now here are 4 canons of taxation that initially were proposed by Adam Smith. Basically, these are just 4 things to consider whenever a tax policy is being proposed or being, introduced. So the first one is equality. Basically, what this is saying that there should be a fair treatment based on the taxpayer's ability to pay taxes. And this is reflected in our income tax rates. The tax rates are progressive, so lower income individuals may pay no to very little income tax, whereas very high earning individuals and corporations pay a lot more in taxes. Convenience. Now, there should be an ease in assessing and collecting taxes. For example, the cost of administering taxes by the governmental agencies versus the amount that they collect should be reasonable. Certainty. The taxpayer's ability to predict taxes in advance. It's very important for the taxpayers, both individuals and businesses, to know how much taxes they're going to pay. They don't have to know the exact amount, but a close estimate is necessary for them to be able to correctly budget and prepare for that amount to be paid at the end of the day. And economy. So there should be minimal collection costs associated with the collection of taxes by the government, and there should be minimal compliance costs, for the taxpayer in complying with the various tax rules and regulations. It would not, again, economically make sense for the costs of collection and for the government and compliance for the taxpayers to be so high in conjunction when compared to the amount of taxes that they're paying. So when coming up with a new tax policy, these are the four canons that are usually looked on to kind of assess the tax policy. So taxes are administered by various governmental agencies. So for the different states, there are different entities for each state. They may include the same entity may do income taxes, property taxes, estate taxes, or there may be different entities. But on the federal level, the responsibility of the tax administration lies with the Treasury Department, and more specifically the Internal Revenue Service (IRS), which is a part of the Treasury Department. The job of tax administration lies with the IRS. So this means making sure the taxes are properly collected, the enforcement of laws, going after taxpayers that have not paid their taxes, and various other tax matters.